Hey everybody, it's Cassie and welcome back to Cassie Loves Coloring. So I'm going to be continuing this picture of Little Red Riding Hood from the fantastic world of the Brothers Grimm. And today I think I'm going to just do a quick, not necessarily a tutorial, but maybe just show you how I've been coloring these trees to look dark and like it's nighttime. This is something new for me. And I'm just learning as I go, so I'm just going to get right into it. So my light is pretty harsh, and it's kind of making a glare off of the wax of the pencils. So the picture in this close-up doesn't look exactly like I would want it to look on camera. It looks a lot better without all the harsh lighting around it, but I can't really avoid that right now because it's kind of late at night. I'm going to take the dark green first, and I'll do a light layer of all of these. Now for this and this, I did not use these colors. I used the dark green very lightly over top, in this case, over top of Tuscan Red to make the shadows, marine green, and then I used this over top of the Tuscan Red to kind of deepen the shadow. And then after that, I used the French gray and the black to kind of reinforce the darkness. But I didn't want it to be too dark because I want to make the illusion that this is closer, this is a little farther back, this is a little farther back, and these are farther back. Kind of like I did the bushes back here, because a mistake that I've made in several of my other pictures is that I don't create enough of a difference between things in the foreground and things in the far background. If you want to create an illusion that something is farther away, it needs to be darker and less detailed than what you would create in the foreground that's closer, like the figure or some of these leaves here, or this bush here. You can see a lot more of the detail than, say, this one back here or even this one back here. So I'm learning, and this picture is definitely kind of a return to coloring picture. I mean, it's not exactly the best picture I've ever colored, but I am proud of it for having been away so long. And I think I'm gonna do this one differently too, because it's actually a little closer. Okay, so I'm gonna take this red, this Tuscan Red, and the reason that I'm shading this green with red is because I've been trying to use the same colors throughout this whole picture so that everything ties in a little bit better. And since I will be using this Tuscan Red shade when I do her hood later, I thought it would be a good fit for the shading of this green, because you can use red to shade green, and I think you can use green to shade red as well. You just have to be mindful of the shades. Like up in here, and even in this one, it was difficult to get the marine green to cover this Tuscan Red, but the reason that I brought the dark green in was because it actually did cover it, so that's why I did that. And I'm not really gonna pay that much attention to details as far as shading in the tree branches like I did up here and here, because again, these are a little farther back, so you're not really gonna see the details. And I should be using my pencil extender, but I don't feel like rooting around for it right now. I don't even know where it is. It's around here somewhere. I'd be lying if I said that I'm not a little sick of using green. I love green, but things like foliage and whatnot are not exactly my favorite thing to color. So I'll be very glad when I finish all of these foliage areas and get around to doing the tops of the red mushrooms as well as her cloak. And I think, nope, it's not broken. Okay. I thought that green was jiggling around in its casing, but it's not. And I'm using medium to hard pressure right now because I want to create a difference between this and this. I want there to be to where you can tell one tree ends and the other begins. So I'm going to make these back here considerably darker than the one on top. You don't want your background to compete with your subject. Now I'm going to take this black and I'm going to reinforce the dividing lines between that front tree and this one that I'm doing now. I've been pretty intimidated by using dark colors in the past without high contrast between lights and shadows, but sometimes when you're dealing with an atmosphere like I'm trying to create in the background, there are not high contrast areas between lights and darks because it's all dark. I hope I'm explaining that correctly or in a way that makes sense. Okay. And I'm going over everything because when I use my blender, I'm going to be blending these colors together. All right, so I've used the black to go all over the green. And then I'm going to take the dark green and go back over it again with the black and just kind of bring everything down. And I'm trying to cover the paper texture as well without completely destroying the tooth. I've been somewhat unsuccessful completely covering all of the white spots in this picture just because it's been kind of stubborn paper. I mean, it's nice, it's toothy paper, but it's definitely create space paper. It's not artist quality paper at all. But I don't fault this book for it because it's totally worth it. And if you really do have a problem with create space paper, you can always copy pages out of the book onto whatever paper you want. And that will take care of that problem. Personally, I don't really want to take the time to make copies because I like to color in the book. Just makes me feel like more like I'm coloring a coloring page. Been kind of I'm not very happy with the looks of this tree here. I'm gonna go back in with the black, and it's just continuously tweaking and stepping back and looking and seeing, you know, if it's to your satisfaction. I'm going to use the 90% French gray now, and I'm going to go over the green because I don't want the green to be pronounced. I want it to be muted, and this French gray will do the trick with that. Need a lot, not a lot of pressure. Okay, I think that is about the look that I'm going for. I don't feel like this black is enough. I just don't feel like there's enough shadow. I'm gonna go back up in here and bring it back down. See, that's the thing about Prismacolors. They layer, like that green just kind of took out the black a little bit, and it just, you know, they layer beautifully. And blend. Okay. Now I'm going to take my colorless blender and oops, I completely forgot about that little section in there. I'm just gonna kind of color it black because you wouldn't be able to see anything in that little hole anyway. And I've got a weird tree branch back here that's got some kind of... Okay, so since there are lots of layers down, I'm not going to press too hard with this blender. And the reason is I don't want it to take up pigment. I just want it to smooth it out. I kind of wish that I could have done the more intricate shading of like the leaves and all that, but partially is because I'm running out of patience, not with this picture, but with all the green. I'm just ready to I'm ready to move on. And there we go. That is how I colored those dark green trees back there. I am down to the wire with this picture. I think I'm going to do these leaves, and then that is the last of the green. And as you can see, there is a lot of green in this picture. Actually, I'm just going to start with this one here and alternate every other stripe. My favorite ones, I think, are these. All right, now that I've got the base down for that color, I'm going to move on to the other stripe, and I'm going to do this in pale sage. And this stripe is going to be much lighter than the other stripe. I thought about doing some red in these leaves as well, but then I thought the rest of the foliage is so green, I think it would look kind of odd. I think I'll just let the cape and the mushrooms be the star red color. Now I'm going to take moss green and kind of deepen, make shadows. I'm not really sure how much of this true green color is going to show through once I'm finished. Actually, I think instead of making shadows in the center, I'm just gonna start from the outside and move my way in. Come back and reinforce this color because I really want this green to show. I want it to stand out from the others a little. And now I'm going to do, I'm not really sure how to say this, celadon green. And I'm just gonna make the shadows. And now, with this French gray 90%, I'm going to just darken the shadows on the edges. The thing about these leaves is that they are all about the same distance. Like for this one, for example, this one's closer and this one's farther back. Same thing with these. But these are all relatively, except for this one here and maybe this one, these are all relatively prominent, so they don't really need to be hidden that much by shadows. And now I'm going to take the blender, and that just kind of smooths everything out. So for the cloak, I think I'm going to use this Prismacolor Premier marker. This is an alcohol-based marker, and I don't have a whole lot of these, and I've had them for years. I don't particularly like these. I got them as a gift one year, which was wonderful. But you know, you never know what kind of art supplies you like until you actually use them. Because this fine tip doesn't even, I mean, the tip isn't even that fine. And alcohol markers tend to bleed out, so I hope they don't go over their lines too much. I'm not even really coloring. I'm not scumming, like I'm just, I'm not doing the coloring motion, I'm just dabbing really. Gotta be very careful. I have my dark green here, so I think I'm just going to fill in the deepest shadows because this will all be shaded in pretty darkly, and you can use green to shade red as long as you're careful. And this is going to be the tough part here, trying to decide where these fold wrinkles are going to be. I'm trying to follow the little dips where the, you know, where I would think that the fabric folds would start right here. I'm going to use this crimson red to do an overlay over the whole thing. To give kind of a base. That piece of a paper towel was driving me nuts. Okay. Now, here comes the work. So I'm going to take Tuscan red and I'm going to start really filling in the shadows. Okay, I had to go chase my pencil extender. That was killing my hand. Now, I'm going to take this Crimson Lake and I'm going to go back over and make a deeper red color. I'm trying to not be afraid of making a dark colors here because making colors too dark can be intimidating for me. But we want the cloak to match the rest of the picture in tone. I hope the picture isn't too boring with all the dark colors. I'm going to take this Scarlet Lake and just kind of take and go over I'm going to bring in a close-up of this mushroom here. I'm going to do a base of this pumpkin orange. And this is a color I have not used in this picture. French gray 50%. There we go. I'm going to take a little bit of Crimson Lake here, and I'm going to create a little shadowed area here. And okay, now that I have done that, I'm going to go back with this pumpkin orange, and I'm going to, because I don't want the mushrooms to match the cloak. I want them to have hints of the same colors, but I want them to look a little bit more, less of a pure red. Okay, I've sharpened the blender and I'm making sure that it's got no residue from any other color. And we're just going to blend it out. Okay guys, we have a finished picture here. I'm so excited. I think that I'm pretty happy with the end result. So if you liked this video and want to see more from me, just give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Leave me a comment down below. Those things really help me out. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope y'all have a great, awesome week, and I'll catch you in the next video. God bless. Bye.